All right, there is a new update out today, and there is a lot to digest in it. I'll try to keep this video still as short as possible, but let's go over some of the highlights. And I'll put the patch notes, link to the patch notes in the description so you can read all about the changes in detail if you care to. So there's the big one, I guess, is well, two big ones. There's a new attribute, a water skip. This has been something that has been asked for by countless players, but I think what they were looking for was the ability to skip disc across the water, any disc. So I'm not sure about this one. Having a specific, a specialty disc that can skip on water. There's only so many slots. So unless we get some more slots, I don't see changing out or bagging any of my current disc to water skip disc. I've seen some videos already. It looks like it would be fun, and there may be some new lines to be discovered with them. But again, without extra slots, it's a specialty disc, from what I can tell at this point, and there's just no room for it. There's a new disc pack with some water skippers in it. There's an event out where you can play around with them too. There's some user interface improvements. Already a bunch of comments. Some people don't see them as improvements. There's a couple things I personally am not a fan of, but I'll show you those in a minute. And there's 4 new hidden badges to find, and I haven't spent any time trying to find them yet. As I find them, I'll post some videos on those. This tells you a little bit about the water skip, including this thing down at the bottom, things to take into consideration that this attribute may be tweaked based upon feedback from the player pool. So on my Facebook page, at least, I've started a little Google Sheets to try to gather feedback from the folks on our page. So that's good. They're saying they're open to tweaking it based upon feedback. So, and here's a look at the bag, and talks a little about the event. And there's the new water skipper disc. All right, so here's a look at the new user interface. There is obviously quite a change from the old one. Let's start up top. So this says it's hole 3. It's a par 4. I haven't taken any strokes yet. It tells you the distance. I actually preferred it when it just said, hole 3, par 4 in text. Uh, but also, it seemed like it was a little bigger in the previous version, easier to read. The wind has the look of the wind has changed. Not a fan of that either. I like the old one. I think it was easier to discern at a very quick glance what the wind was in the direction. And this one, for me, right now anyway, I have to kind of focus a little bit harder on that in order to discern what the wind is. The uh, the disc down at the bottom is a little smaller. That's not a huge deal. And when you go to throw the disc now, the disc that you pull down actually shows you what disc you're going to um, be throwing. And it used to, over here on the right side of the Wi-Fi bands, it would say, Heiser or Anheuser or Roller. And now it's up in the top circle that you have to look for that information, or flat here. The Wi-Fi bands themselves are thinner, and from what I can tell so far, using the accurate windbreak fuse anyway, I was still able to hit my distances, knowing my old PowerPoints, if you will, because I was really worried about that. But they seem to be very close, if not the same. I don't know how that is because they're definitely thinner. Each one of these bands used to be about 20 feet, but it looks like it's still the case. And the chevrons are sharper now, so I like that. That's fine. I got no problem with that. Um, so yeah, that's the changes on the user interface. All right, a few other things to note. If you read the patch notes, you'll see they're in there. For one, Maple Hill Front 9 is now in multiplayer. I think the timing on that was a little off. We've got, I think, less than a week left now of the current multiplayer season, so I would have waited, introduced it with the new season. But just know if you're going to make a late push to move up the leaderboard, you're likely to run into some Maple Hill Front 9 holes. They also, for the next season, they talked about they've changed where it used to you need 500 points to get from one level to another. They've reduced that. They're introducing better disc, the Royal line, into the season pass. There's new discs that are being introduced in general. There's a lot of seems like good things happening with the season pass coming up in the new multiplayer season. But the two biggest things, from what I can tell here, the user interface and the water skipper disc, if you can find room in your bag for that. So, all right, I'll post more as I find out more about the updates. Oh, multiplayer also has a different look now too. I'm not going to show that because if I go into multiplayer, I have to finish the round, and I don't want to have to do that right now. So, but you'll see when you go into multiplayer, you'll see you have a different look, couple different features there that have been added. So, all right, hope you learned something from that. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you around the valley.